use your phone for the work.
Okay.
I can use the iPad for Owen.
Tell Owen that I'm on a call.
We can see her or hear her.
Right?
Okay, well, I mean, I guess it's most important that you can hear me, but let me see what I can do. If your video is stopped, why is that? Okay, well, for this time, I can definitely try to adjust the video, but it seems like it's not giving me the option to do both.
It's okay. There were days when we had a talk just with the phone. You know, those days did exist, so I'm sure we'll survive.
Right?
Okay, well, if you guys are fine with that, if anything changes, it just basically is only giving me the option of one or the other. It's telling me on safe mode. If anyone quickly knows how to take it off of safe mode, which I don't, then let me know.
Probably in the settings, but it's up to you if you want to.
I already did that, but let's then
Hmm. No, I can't hear you.
We can go back to voice if that's easier.
Here she's popping up again. Okay, are you there?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, perfect.
This is me in full.
Awesome. Yeah, we can hear you. So Chelsea, I have on the line, well, Jen just disappeared, but Jen Ashby, who's the VP of Sales. And
Yay!
then who you really want to talk to over here is Rachel, who is, yes, she's got all the answers to the questions that I definitely cannot answer. And Chelsea, Chelsea is here. Mandy, who's on the line too, originally asked her about Savvi, and then we've been talking about it, and she's a super savvy entrepreneur and had a lot of great questions. But she's somebody who I think if she, we've kind of talked about the vision in different parts, but the fashion questions I can't answer. She can explain a little bit more and ask the questions. So thank you all so much for getting on here. I'm just going to mute and listen.
Yeah, and Chelsea and Mandy, were you guys on the Zoom that we did last weekend?
I was for.
Oh, perfect.
I was for the majority of it.
There you are.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll hand it over to you to just ask whatever questions. I guess if you were on, you already got a big taste of the business opportunity. You got to hear from Ken and I. So, Courtney, like she said, you had questions on the fashion. So I'm here just to support any way I can, and I'll let you go ahead and connect with Rachel and fire your questions away. We're here to help you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you once again for being so accommodating and taking this meeting with me. I know you guys are busy, so congratulations on the success you've had so far. So I have some questions about like brand identity, especially because you bought another pre-existing company. And is my audio clear? Can you hear me properly? Okay. So, and then I have some questions just to sort of take you through before we go through them about the fabric, the functionality, where it's being manufactured, your vision for the future. And I know this because we're in pre-launch right now. It's a little bit where you probably don't have full answers in some of this. I just like to get an idea as to where your vision is for the future in a couple different areas. So, and then also about your avatar and who your prime client is, especially because of the transition. And I know you can't just have one avatar, and then ask a few questions about sales, specifically in outside sales. So I'm going to delve in first with the questions about the manufacturing and the fabric. So, the questions that I have about the fabric is more really about like, okay, so I know that based on my consumer trend research that, and I own a business that's in health and wellness, and I've been a yogi forever, and I was Lululemon ambassador. I'm a legacy ambassador now, but I have a lot of understanding of consumer mindset in certain areas, but I also follow trends. So I'm wondering, with your fabric and your manufacturing, especially not being here, even though I heard what you talked about in the talk about, the best fabric, the best quality, the best conditions are not always here, that people are miseducated on that. But first off, let's address the manufacturing facilities. Are you solid in where you're being manufactured right now? What's your manufacturing facility? Are you working in another factory where there are multiple different small vendors working, or is there an exclusive for yours, or how is that working? Or is another brand, another larger mother brand, doing your fabric on the side right now? What is exactly what's happening with that?
Okay, so do you want to know specifically about the fit or all of it, or do you want me to
Maybe,
touch on it all?
well, I just want to know about your manufacturing first.
Okay. Yeah, so for the manufacturing, the everyday line has always been local based, so LA and Mexico. And that's something where we have worked really closely with establishing partners that work with us, not necessarily exclusively. They do have other clients that they don't often disclose, but they've received the majority of our projects. So
Okay.
we have 2 supply chains in LA, actually 3, but mainly 2 that we use for that. And that means everything is cut and sewn either in LA or parts are done in Mexico, but it's local essentially. Fabric is purchased in Los Angeles, where everything comes to to a port essentially. It's not produced. The fabric isn't made in LA. The fabric is made overseas and brought to LA, and then it's cut and sewn in Los Angeles. The fit is very, very different because yes, there are a few mills that produce fit fabric in the US, but they are more niche. They're more bespoke essentially because they're kind of trying to do something new here, right? So the fabric prices are higher for a lot of times quality that isn't necessarily up to par, or if it is up to par with what we can get in Asia, then the price is much higher. Just because they're trying to do something more boutique style. So with that, right now we have 5 manufacturing partners in Asia that we work with. They are tenured factories that have been in business for 10 to 20 years. And they do fitness and intimate apparel. So we link up with them to get our projects made. They're not our exclusive manufacturers. We don't own them.
Yeah.
They contract with them.
Because you're not at that scale. Do you have, sorry to interject this, but do you have future goals of having that? Or do you think that your positioning right now is probably what it will be in the future for flexibility?
We've looked into both, and especially with the everyday line, at one point we did start to build out our own supply chain. But from the business perspective, those become hard costs versus variable, right? So once you build out that supply chain, those are your employees, and you can't really wane, and depending on your quantities or whatever, you can't.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So after looking at both models, we decided that for now, at least, it's best for us to just really form tight relationships with who we want to manufacture with. We don't need to own their facilities. We don't need to manage their employees. We just need to make sure that we trust how they do things, right? That they have a good process.
Yeah.
So right now, that's what we want to do. Now, going forward, that could change, especially if we go global. We might see that at that point, our base quantities are high enough that it makes sense for us to own that whole process. It just, right now, it's like, we're mid-range. We're not a tiny company. We're not a massive company. We're in the middle somewhere. So as we grow and as we get bigger, yeah, it might be time where we look at that profile again and decide that's best for us. But right now it's not. we're just really focused on prototyping who we are here, like I said, making sure that our brand profiles are strong, that we have those avatars in place. And that's a lot to figure out while, also trying to build a supply chain. A lot of companies, I've worked for a lot of corporate companies, and I've seen how, the fashion companies will come and go because they try to just swallow too much too fast. And
yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm asking. Yeah.
And it's hard. It is, it's hard. You've got a lot to manage. And again, if we can lean on an expert who's already built this out, who's been doing it for 10 to 20 years, they have the whole process streamlined. It's just, right now it's just better. It's better for us. The company I worked for before, we did everything in-house. We had a 5-story building, and we had all of the printing and the embroidery on one floor. We had all the sewing on the other floor. We had all of the packing and shipping, and we were trying to manage that. We had retail stores, and we were doing really great and working like crazy, but eventually it was just so much, and we also had overseas partners, and so we had in-house and out-of-house manufacturing. And it's just, you just have to be careful as you grow. So what we found is, we have some manufacturers that continuously build product anyway, and then some of them are taking directives from us on exactly what we want them to build. And we're in that sweet spot now where we're finally hitting those quantities. We're doing things in the thousands, and we're able to meet the minimums that are required to do manufacturing in these larger scale factories. So that's good. And as we grow, that only gets better, because
and does that then have a positive impact, obviously, on your bottom dollar and how you're able to deliver? So is your price point now, and this is going a little off, but is your price point now kind of the price point you're hoping to stay consistent with, you're planning to stay consistent with as you move forward?
So our goal with pricing is to make sure that we are always viewed as better wear. So we're better wear and above. So we don't want to have cheap price points per se in the fitness realm. Yeah. But then we do want a range within that. So we do want to have that more budget buyer, the mother, someone that has to spread their income a little more, able to buy in, stay at a $40 price point. Maybe the lowest is around 35 at the lowest.
Yeah.
But then we do want to go up to, around the $100 range in order to bring those high performance pieces in. So that's why you do see a range, and you do, like, if you've had a chance to touch and feel and experience the product, you'll notice a difference. Like, some pieces are a little more, they're cute, they have that street appeal, and they're more fashion oriented, and then some are more performance oriented, and they might look plainer and more simple, but it's all in the fabric. So that is a range that we intend to maintain as we grow. As far as what the line will look like in 1 to 2 to 3 years from now, we do envision it enveloping into having some pieces that are definitely more specialized, and attracting the real fitness guru, someone who's a professional athlete, or someone who's doing really intensive competitions and whatnot. But then the mid-range, I think the meat of it really fits our the main woman that we serve, and she's middle-aged, and she is active, and it's a huge part of her life, but she wears a lot of hats, right? So that's where that athleisure component comes in, where that swing between needing those essential layers on top of fitness gear, and having that full athleisure fitness wardrobe. So I think that's where we're seeing the meat of our sales come from anyway right now. And that will continue to be the highest priority, to make sure that we're providing the right pieces for that woman. But obviously we want people to see the line is very comprehensive. Like, you go in, you can get what you need if at different ranges of activity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you answered my question then about high performance. fabrics, because I think that's a market that, you know, regardless really needs to be served. And the simplicity component will speak to a different avatar and, you know, be, yeah, so that's really great. So if you, you know how a lot of brands have like one thing that they are for front runners on as far as fit or fabric, or, you know, not like custom certain fabrics in Lululemon, a lot of people are really attached to. I mean, obviously some of the cuts too. I know Nike has some things that they're really well known for, and these are much bigger, different brands, and so I don't think they're fair apples to apples. But what in your mind as of now, or maybe in the future, will be your like your front runner, or is that yet to be seen?
Right. So truly, as we are in this stage where we're seeing who's buying what and what the response is, we are definitely in the research phase with that, as far as like, yeah, what are our hero products going to be? I would say that what we're aiming for is that we have performance and style meshed as much as possible within our products, so that, you know, you can, yeah, I don't know, you've probably been in this industry for a long time and have seen the shift from straight performance gear, which was really kind of sans anything attractive. It was just kind of, this works, right? And then now it's definitely been feminized to a place where it's trying to attract the women. Even Nike putting out pink tennis shoes, that was an attempt to attract, you know, to attract the female consumer. And we're definitely trying to do both as well, in that we want the great fabrics and we want great cuts, and we don't want to compromise that by any means, but it also needs to be feminized enough that we are attracting our women audience, and that is our primary audience. As far as we're also, go ahead.
I'll let you continue, Rachel. I was just going to add in, you know, Chelsea, I know you have a lot of background in the fashion industry, but something that's, you know, really needs to be looked at from this viewpoint is we're in a completely different model than those businesses, right?
I know.
So
And I
they
think
have
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, they have to have our hero product, because that their that's their marketing and their branding. Whereas what's really the forefront of Savvi is a community, and is that model of it, right? So anyway, I'll let Rachel go back to the clothing. But you're right. It's not apples to apples at all. Not even close. Not even just the clothing in the brand, but just the business model really sets us apart and makes it something extremely unique.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for interjecting that, because that's something that I need to, I don't have an education in that, and so I need to be mindful. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would.
And we can help you with all that. You know, like we get to take you and all your experience and everything you have in fashion, connect with Rachel, and then be like, guess what? This is like you building Nike in the beginning, or you building Lululemon, and you're part of the company versus a consumer, right? But anyway, back to you, Rach. I know you have so much to share on the fashion side.
Yeah, well, and you know, it's something, I'm glad you did say that, Jen, because it does, it just reminds me of like how we go about things, right? So when I sit in the boardroom with the team, and Ken, especially as the visionary, now Ken is driven by what he has done and what has worked for him, right? Which is, he has come through all of the beginning stages of companies like these and has come out on top, and he wants to provide that opportunity for people. At the same time, you know, and I come at it with, I have this, you know, technical design background, product knowledge, work for fashion companies. That's my world. So I come at it like, I want the best products. I want to be known for the products that we have. And you know, we come to the table and look at how do we bring both values to the table at once. So I wouldn't say that by any means you know, the product doesn't matter. It does absolutely matter, right? We want people to wear the product and want that product, and we want their friends to want that product. So when it comes to what we're looking at and what we want to accomplish with product, we're absolutely, you know, we've brought in all of these we've brought in the top brands, Lululemon pieces, different pieces that we feel are leading the fitness space right now. And we turn them inside out, and we look at them, we cut the fabric out, we send it to our manufacturers and say, this is what we're going for. And actually in the next couple of months, you're going to see pieces come in. They're very similar to some of the hero products in Lululemon, the lightweight compression fabric that doesn't add weight to anything. It's just that pulls you in tight and it's very thin. So we have some of that coming, and we're looking at what people respond to. You know, what we're seeing right now is some of the fabrics we've brought in that are better. If they don't have any detail, people tend to forget about them. But if there's a little bit of detail and the fabric's great and the performance is there, then we see more interest in that. So we're definitely, we have our eyes on, you know, what the field response is, but also at the same time, really wanting to stand and be a competitor in the space that we are in with our products. So we're,
Okay.
when you mentioned Lululemon and what Nike's doing, yes, we are absolutely looking at that and saying what components of what they're doing will work for us too. And how can we potentially surpass them, or what products could we bring that they don't have? So we're definitely in that headspace. And like Jen said, the people that are joining us now get to have a voice in that. They get to say, you know, these are the products that I have loved. These are the things that have worked for me. I've spent a lot of time talking to different athletes, different, you know, people that are sponsored mountain bikers, people that are, you know, competitive, have their own gyms, people that do CrossFit competitions, and say, you know, tell me about your favorite products. Tell me what's worked for you. What do you go for? What do you wear every day? And that's a part of the psychology that we, you know, that I take with me as we're designing new things and as we're looking for new products to make a part of our line. So it is obviously it's a major process. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, Nike didn't suddenly become the top, and neither did Lulu. They went through a lot of different things, but luckily they have done a lot of work that we can look at and say what did work for them. And we're right on it as far as trying to make sure we have the product offering that will satisfy the person that is shopping there right now, because we want those customers, you know, shopping with us.
Yeah, I agree. And then that brings up a question that I had, and it's probably all pretty relevant to my understanding of, or my lack of understanding of the business model, my new research rather. So tell me then, what percentage of people, like, because this is really in pre-launch, when like take us to a year from launch, in your mind, maybe in your performance and how you look at things, what percentage of sales will be generated through gaining more people that are on the inside, as opposed to outside sales where somebody's just going to pop on the website and buy 3 pieces and maybe like 3 pieces and get a couple more, you know, and be sort of on the outside? What, you know, what would be your split? And you don't have to talk about dollars, but you can maybe talk about the number of clients, and then like the volume, and then the actual sales volume as far as split on both ends. Is that clear?
Yeah, and I think Jen will probably want to chime in on this as well, but essentially with our business model, we want most of the sales to be from the inside. That's what we're pushing for, and that's why we spend so much time imparting you know, knowledge and information into our reps so that they can actually use that, you know, to spread their own network. We don't, and that's actually a major part of the MLM model, is that it is it's more rep focused than it is outside focused. It is totally different than Nike or Lulu, who is always marketing to the greater world, right? We are word of mouth. We are we share the business by talking about it through trust relationships, and that's actually how we want it to be. So the percentage of sales from the outside will be we want it to be very small compared to our inner sales. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. That answers my question.
Yeah, Chelsea, let me explain something. Like, let me give you a little analogy here. Like Nike spends tons of money, as you know, on, you know, advertising, marketing, brand recognition, all those things, Lululemon, so that when you walk into a store, you recognize it and then you buy it, right? So what we do is we don't spend that money. We give that money to our stylists, our reps, right? So we say, okay, guys, we have the clothing, we have the platform, we have the brand, we have some tools, we have the technology, we're going to drop ship, like all of that. And then we go, great, you get to have your own business. You go market it. And then the stylists go and they build their organization. It's almost like they're building their own mini boutiques, but it's all online. They're building a tribe. They're finding other stylists who also want to bring on, who also want to get customers. So you have that flexibility to almost like own your own little Nike boutique, right? Except it's your Savvi boutique. And then the commissions, instead of going to these companies that are doing all the marketing and branding for us, they go to the reps, they go to the stylists. So we want all of that to be for our stylists. We don't want them to come find Savvi. If they do, we ask them, great, who's your stylist, right? And if they don't have a stylist, we find them a stylist. So we make sure that they have someone they're working with, because there is the opportunity to just purchase leggings, but and sweaters and clothes, but there's also the opportunity to purchase it from somebody. And we want to really empower our stylists that way.
Oh, I totally understand. But I also know, with somebody coming from a completely different perspective, that having the opportunity for to say to someone who may not understand the model, similar to the way I'm learning about it, that they can pop on a website and buy X, Y, and Z just to see how they like it before. So it's a slow, because I think that is a big advantage. So basically it's like a slow entree instead of like, who's your stylist? It's more like, oh my God, these are my pants. Go on online and see if you like this one. Oh, you like both of those, then here's the offer. And that's why I was asking, because I know from
so who's saying that, for example? Like
I would, like, let's say I'm a stylist, and I'm saying to a friend, excuse me for a second, I have my 8-year-old home homeschooling, so hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, this is all really fascinating though to hear too.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot.
Okay, sorry y'all. Sorry y'all. This is crazy times, but I'm here.
Totally.
I'm here now again.
Okay. So for example, if you say to somebody, hey, I want you to just try this clothing, then they can just try the clothing, but they're going to purchase it through your website. They don't have to sign up. They don't have to be a preferred customer or register or anything like that. So it's just like you said, what if someone just wants I'll use, me, for example, what if I just want to have someone just try the product first? They can, but they're still going to go through my website. So whoever that person is that's doing the talking is a stylist. So that person shops through them.
Okay.
Like, especially like in a traditional marketing model, I know my sister's husband works in this, and they are like going after these influencers like crazy right now, because they know that that's how sales are driven, and that's how Nike got big, right? They went straight to the athletes and whatnot. And so people ask us a lot, why are you not working with influencers? And we're saying, well, we are, but we want them to join us so that they don't just get a one-time thing. They get anyone that buys through them forever, they get a piece of that sale, and those people become ultimately a part of what drives our company instead of just a one-time bam. So it is definitely I was from the outside as well, and when I first joined the company, I was confused as to why we weren't doing X, Y, and Z, because every other company I'd been with had done, they have kind of there's a standard way that you market, right? And ours is very, very different. It's very internal. It's very much about empowering that person to go out. And it really shines in times like these, where it's like you kind of huddle together with your friends, and that becomes your community, and that's how you buy, versus going to a store. A lot of stores, a lot of brands that are really, working with that traditional marketing model, they are really trying to create the sale in your mind before you even see the product, right? And that's done through mad amounts of marketing. It's like you see the athlete wearing it, you see the blogger wearing it, you see all this stuff going on, and you want those leggings before you know what price it is, before you've touched them, before you've worn them, any of the above, because it's a psychological game. That's what marketing is. It's a power. It does something in your mind where suddenly it's like, I want that in every color, and I don't know anything about it. I mean,
I totally understand that, and I appreciate the redistribution of the funds internally in order to make it a more of an empowering experience in every capacity. So I think that's a really beautiful thing, and I like that. And so, in your future of the brand, are you planning to incorporate some tweens? Is that something or some? And I hate that word. I mean, I don't know any other, but I know that it's a very, I have an 8-year-old, but I know it's a very underserved market. in the right price point, in the right quality, and the right style. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Here she is right now, my 8-year-old. But I also know that oh, that's so
My
sweet.
7-year-old
It's a huge opportunity, and I'm just wondering. You mentioned men's in the call, but I'm wondering if men's is first, and maybe none of these are on the short term, and they may be on the super long term. But what are your thoughts on those things?
Right. So we have had a lot of requests for men's, and we've also had a request, not necessarily for tweens, but petites, which is similar. It's a smaller body, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely would love to bring that category in sooner than later. I can't give you an exact timeline, but a lot of our women, you know, I mean, Jen's one of them. She's very little, and sometimes the traditional small and extra small isn't small enough, right? So what prevents us from just building those categories out right now, again, it's smart growth. You have to make sure that right now our core sizes that sell we see high sales in small, medium or highest yielding sizes, right? So we are always selling highest numbers of that, with medium leading. And then obviously large and extra small follow that, but it's ultimately a curve like this. But if we were just to build out those categories and try to keep them stocked at all times, we're definitely putting a lot of resources towards categories that aren't big enough yet to create enough demand to create the turnover that's needed to keep those categories healthy. Because you can't just buy a large batch of product and let it sit. It has to move, right? You have to move it. It has to get fresh, or otherwise it just becomes a loss. And same with men.
I completely, not that I am not trying to cut you off by any capacity, but you're preaching to the choir here. I own a small business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm growing my business like gangbusters. We can't do everything and can't be good at it. And if you want to add things, you got to be smart. You have to be mindful and own a market in one area. And then you have you earn the right to move into something else. So I get that fully. I just was wondering if it was on, I didn't hear it and I missed that last part of the call of the other call. So I was wanting to make sure, or, find out your mindset on it. Cause I just know based on the way I see spending, especially in what I expect to be your avatar, that there's a lot of emphasis put on family and family spending, and specifically, that. So that's wonderful to hear. Thank you. And then, I could go on forever because I love talking to you. And both of you, thank you. And thank you. But, I am curious to know what, as of now, what you're, and it's so hard. You're still in the phase where you're probably not sure who your avatars are, but, do you know that there are certain sweet spots that you're working with, or is it evolving so quickly that you don't know?
Well, so, traditionally avatars were really pinpointed to this age, this really, really finite. And now what we're seeing is, and you're probably aware of this too, it's more about lifestyle, right? Like instead of an exact person's age, it's more about what are they into, what are their interests. And yes, that can also result in being able to see kind of an age bubble up around that. And I think if I were to just give if I were to throw an age out there and what I'm seeing and what we're seeing in our data, it's that the main person is in their late 30s, that's buying from us. They're usually a mother. They have an active lifestyle or priority within that. But we are, really zoning in on the person we're trying to reach is the woman who wants that income, who has the ambition to provide more for herself or her family, who, again, we're having an active lifestyle is part of her main priority set. And she expects a lot from herself and from her products. I could go on and on about preferences, but that's the heart of it. And that's what we're seeing as far as people coming to us.
Okay.
And as, I would absolutely love to build that out so that we have, 5 standing avatars, and we can feed product to all of them at all times, especially being like a brand where we really want a lot, and we want that full diversity shopping with us. We don't really want to lose anyone or exclude anyone, but that is our highest yielding avatar profile right now, and it's what seems to be magnetically coming to us. And so as that strengthens and as those voices come out of that group and we start to build our product line to really hit those preferences, then we are already hearing things like, what about my husband, or what about this guy that also wants to join us. So yes, those are other avatars that we want to build out and provide for. We just have to really dial in our main right now. So does that help?
Yeah, and let me add one thing, Rach. It's also because here I am, Ken and I, like, just being the ones who are driving the direction of the company, and like having our background being in the direct selling, network marketing, social selling.
Yeah. Yes.
When you look at it from that perspective of the avatar, there is so much freedom for each one of our stylists to determine who their avatar is. It's not just on us. Like Nike, I keep going back to this example because it is a shift in viewpoint and mindset for sure. And it's a big shift. And sometimes it takes a little bit to be like, oh, wow, it's looking from this perspective. But, they have to have a very specific avatar, and they're a little bit pigeonholed in that. Whereas we don't. We have a woman who's a mom of 4 girls, and older girls, teenage girls, and she's working this business with her husband. We have a single mom with a baby. She's working this business. We have a girl who's 20 and, doesn't have work now with what's going on in our world, and she's working this business. So they're all marketing to different people, and they can, right? So, as far as the avatar of who are we marketing to, right? And looking at that component and being so niche, like an age, a demographic, we don't get that specific because there is so much freedom. And then on the clothing side, Rachel really is conscious to make sure that we have something for everybody. And that's not just your body size, it's also the age. So we have lots of crop tops, we have long tops, we have things like, some things younger generations like, some things an older generation, more conservative would like. So we do have a variety of price points, a variety of styles. And then the avatar really, you have the freedom to really get creative with that. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. So I wanted to put that viewpoint in there as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that. I just know that, you can't do everything. You can't do everything perfect. And no one can ever, but that's why, I was curious that you answered it, and you answered it in 2 facets. So that's perfect. I think aside from that, I will probably have some other follow-up questions about supply chain and that kind of stuff, because that's just my personality, and I'm very curious if you'll be willing to entertain them, but I'll probably send them via email. And, you did such a beautiful job of letting me know the answers to it. Of course, I'm always interested in the manufacturing. Oh, and the last question I do have, before I'm totally done, is with the awareness of, using recycled, using more sustainable materials, using things that are easier on our earth, or even processes that are easier on our earth. Is that something that you are aware of and speaking to, or is it something that doesn't really serve you at this point?
Go ahead. Are you done?
Me? Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. So for me personally, I will tell you, it's huge, huge, huge on my heart and mind. I mean, it's really important to me. I'm definitely from a family of environmentalists, and, even just being in the fast fashion industry was something that, I had to almost make a pledge to my family that I was going to be here and do good here, because it is unfortunately an industry that is very taxing on our planet, and all of the processes. And then when when one company does something good, they toot their horn so loud that a lot of times misinformation goes out about what's actually happening, and so I'm definitely have my mind on how can we be that? How can we be a force for good in an industry that is really built on a lot of archaic processes that are not good? And so what's what's great is that we're seeing kind of globally the world wake up, this whole awareness on plastic and where it's going and how to deal with it. Is what we're seeing is all manufacturers are realizing there is a consumer demand for products to be recycled, to be handled in a responsible way. And that has been the first conversation, a part of the first conversation I've had with every one of our suppliers. What are you guys doing? How are you handling the demand for greener products and practices? And those are things that I'm excited to actually divulge in videos and through our website when we get our final website up about what part we're playing in that. As far as being like 100% eco and green, we can't, we're not doing that right now. It's not our highest priority in the building stage, but it definitely is a priority. I know that the company I worked for before, we really made an attempt to highlight that, and we went ahead and made a bunch of bamboo products, and we're kind of going off of the information as it was coming in, and then finding out that a lot of those processes were just as bad, just in a different way, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Bamboo's great and it grows really fast, but to actually turn it into a fiber is almost more taxing than all of these other fabrics, right? So some of our manufacturers are offering us things, recycled fabrics. That's a huge part of what they're doing anyway. And my vision is to, as we solidify, as we get stronger and we know where the buying power is and what people are most interested in, that we start introducing these green products and making them available. And my hope is that, and when I say green, it's as green as can be, with what we're working with right now in our current world, that people will grab hold of that and we can build out that side. I'd love to have a green line, a green eco-friendly line. Obviously, it's going to be a higher price point. And, thus far we have found that, as much as Jen is saying, and it was totally true, like you can create your own avatar as a stylist. You can choose who your network is, and you can almost be that avatar for them the way that you present the clothing we provide, right? But with that, I would love to be able to provide more eco-friendly products that, if that is your place, then you can buy into that and you can really expand that way. And that's my hope. I really hope that we get there and we get there soon. And it does.
Good.
And as you know, I would love to have this conversation with you because as you know, it takes intense amounts of research to go, okay, even though they're telling me this, I've had these conversations with manufacturers many times where they're saying, yeah, they're marketing this fabric as, as organic, but the only difference is they didn't wash it, in the same Tide bath that will get washed in later. So there's different little things where you really have to be smart and make sure that you're not just going with the flow of what's being told. But yeah, I'm huge on B Corp. I'm a big member. I watch the B Corp companies and how they emerge and how they do what they do. That's really, really important to me. And I know that through and through Ken also, as I share this information with him and with the team, we all want the best and we all want good and we all want to be a force for good. So I would say it's on the horizon. But we are seeing that our price limitations we're not quite breaching the levels that we'd like to, or that would really support that right now. For everyone to pay an extra $20 to get an eco-friendly pair of leggings, we're not seeing that would do so well right now, just because we've already kind of tested our price points with some of our products that we have. So that is a challenge. I don't know.
As long as from a design standpoint and a company standpoint, you really have your eye on what's happening with market interest and trend, and that is where your mindset is. That's what I wanted to hear, because I think anyone who's not really, even if they're giving lip service, if they're not really, and I can see your genuineness in this, paying some attention to it or a good deal of attention to it in whatever capacity they can, they're doing a disservice to their company. That's really how I feel. That's why it's a big question for me. So
I love that question, and I love hearing people that are concerned with the same things, because that's the only way the industry changes, is when enough people want the same thing, and you see a shift in consumer behavior. And I think, again, it's an exciting time to see that is happening naturally, that the consumers are speaking up about it and saying, I want to know where my products come from, and I want to know the processes, and I don't want to spend my money on things that I don't feel good about, right? For more reasons than one. So definitely, I mean, every show I've been to recently, whether it be fabric or fashion oriented, it's at the, it's on the front of every panel. Everyone's talking about it. So it's a good time. And like I said, for me, I had to make a choice at one point in my career. I started to really see, the ugly side of fashion. And there's definitely that, right? There's like, fashion's really fun and beautiful and expressive, but then it's like, how is it made and how are people treated? And so I had to make a decision. I was either going to get out and just be, anti-fashion, but I knew people would keep buying clothes, and I knew people would keep buying lots of clothes, and that wasn't going away. So I had to make a decision. If I'm going to be in the industry, I need to be a force of good and change in every capacity that I can. And the way that I do that now is the way that I interface with our supply chain. So I want to know who they are. I want to know their facility. I want to see their workers. I want to know these people face to face. I want to treat them like team members that I'm working with side by side, because that's the only way to ensure a really sustainable supply chain. And I want people that work for Savvi to know they're working for Savvi. Like, we want this job because it's coming through from Savvi and they actually care about people, right? So that's part of how I approach my position, and my job is to make sure that I'm looking out for people up and down. Obviously my boss and those above me I need to report to, but then everyone that I engage with when I'm giving a project to someone, I want to know that they're into it, that they are doing what they love as well, and they're not being taken advantage of. And then also looking at what fabric choices can we make. And as the textiles are just, as they're changing all the time with technology and with, resources and whatnot. So I definitely have my eye on that. It's very, very important to me. And I hope we can do an eco line. I really would love to find a way to bring great products that, people can put their money down on, because they know it's good for the earth as well. And we're looking, another way to do that is to serve our greater world and communities in service, through sales. Our sales go towards causes that we care about. So that's another one that we've been talking about, is what can we start partnering with? What type of projects are in place already that are impacting our world in a good way that we could partner with or help fund. So that's another one.
Right, because that's
on
right
our
along,
minds. And
that's right along the same lines from a consumer mindset to those most of the people that are really much more mindful about the environmental component, and those are also really aware of where does their money go to support. Is it actually, in addition to what's happening from the environmental stance, is it actually feeding the greater good of the and aside from your business model, which I think most certainly does have an empowering component to it, but like, even if there are outside organizations that are being partnered with, so that there's that feel good component, because that's how people are spending as well. I see on a personal level when I'm partnering with local and larger organizations that are doing, whether they're 501c3 or whether they've got a component of that, or in a larger scale, they really, it has the ability to impact in such a positive way in every capacity. So that's great to hear too.
Yeah, and you probably know, like, what I've loved about when you go shopping at Whole Foods, you can see it. You go, oh, I'm buying this cereal, and this is what they do, right? And as I purchase just from this store in general, this is the good they're doing. And so what I'm really excited about is, we haven't had someone like Jen on our team for a minute when we've needed it, someone that can actually document what we're doing and put it out there. we donated hundreds and hundreds of garment clothes to refugees and people that are coming to our country with nothing. It's something we've already been doing for several years, and we haven't been too loud about it. I think we sent out a blog post about it, I think 7 months ago or so. We did a blog post about it. And it's part of something we're already doing. We just need to do a better job about messaging it and letting everyone know that these are projects that we're doing continuously, and how it is impacting lives. We had one where we were giving all of our damages to women who make quilts, and then they're able to sell those, and they're able to make an income from that. And so we were providing the fabric resources for that. So that's something that's going to be ongoing. It's happening already, and we're going to expand that. But you're right, I'm in the same boat with you in that I look at, and I know that the smarter consumer is now as well, and that is who we're looking to attract and build with, is people who are, they know where their money is going. They make very conscious and aware choices, and we need to definitely make sure that they know where their dollars are going with us too. It goes not only to their stylist, but yes, for the greater good. And that's a huge, as our vision is to be a global company, we want the world to feel the impact of us in a positive way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is all. Those are all my questions that were so beautifully answered, and so I really appreciate both of your time. Everyone who's on the call, I appreciate your time and your willingness to talk with me. So I may have a couple of other follow-up questions, but I'll just send those via email. But thank you.
Chelsea, also.
Yeah, thank you. I actually really enjoyed this conversation. I could talk shop all day.
Yeah, you had great questions.
I know, for real. And Chelsea, I wondered if you wanted to touch real quick on your association with SCAD, and because you mentioned to me about the internship aspect and that.
I just wasn't sure if right now was the best conversation.
Or an email or what. Yeah,
I will, and I can touch on it briefly and then follow up with email. In my business that I'm in now, and I've had 2 businesses, it's health and wellness, but it's not the one that I'm in now. That is my baby. I have a lot of connections in the SCAD, not only from employing SCAD students, but more in the higher level, the chair of the fashion department, a lot of the internal internship people at Savannah College of Art and Design. And I know that they're always looking to partner with organizations, specifically from a collaborative effort to allow their students to go and help with design components of things, or whatever it be. Maybe it's not even design. Maybe it's like maybe it's product, on a larger scale, because they have so many different sort of areas of expertise. But design is obviously the number one thing that I think of. They've got a really great textiles program too. So, I know that they like their students to do internships or even to partner them up after graduation. I'm just wondering, in my mind, it seems like a really nice way to get some different feedback that is really fresh and may not be 100% relevant to everything that you're having now, but at the same time could be an interesting infusion, and also formulating a partnership with a university like Savannah College of Art and Design that's run like a business. When they partner strongly, and it's run not like a university, if you know the nuances, it's run like a business. When they partner with someone, and there are a few other universities like this, but they really lock in, and they find a way to fuel the company with really good talent if they can find a collaborative energy together, and it's highly mutually beneficial. I've seen it in a couple of other businesses as well, where it really helps them in getting freshness, and from a cost standpoint, from your standpoint, a lot of times it's really not costly. It might take energy, which is time is money, but I'm just wondering if you ever explored that option and bringing in young talent from a designing standpoint that was really pretty well vetted, and then formulating relationships in those capacities.
So definitely like work study essentially, right? It's like kind of a similar program where they get paid
Yeah, but
internship or
it's elevated because of their industries, yes. And I think that dumbs it down and belittles it, because I've seen a lot of people that I know go very far in other companies that have been students. And then I know the directors of the programs. And so, yes. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been something that, so our headquarters being in Salt Lake makes it a little more difficult to link up with schools like that just because of distance and, wanting to have someone in the office with us. But I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm happy to look into it. We've definitely been looking into utilizing, we have more so in media and graphic design and video and whatnot. We have schools here that do similar type of things. And, some of the people on my team are from the only design school here where, they assist with some of that process. So I will look into it. I'm glad that you brought that up. And I know that it's a huge part of, when I was in school too, I did some similar things, did some internships. So that could be a great resource. And you said you worked directly with some of the talent from there.
Yeah, I've got actually on staff right now, I have two SCAD juniors that are athletic wear focused. And so I get sort of an insight, plus I'm an insight in what they're doing on a regular basis. Even though they're not working for me in a design sense, they're working in a different sort of capacity. But I get to see what they're working on and what they're doing and how much they're building their athletic wear and athletic leisure component of the program, and really bolstering that up, and how talented they are. Mm-hmm. And then in addition, I know the director of the fashion department and the chair of the dean of the fashion. And so I mean, to answer your question, I think that I think that this is a huge opportunity for you guys, and I'd love to maybe chat with you independently after this at some other point, and maybe send you some other thoughts on ways that it could potentially work for you. But I love that you have that on your vision, and that you're very focused on that, on being mindful of younger talent and making the proper connections. So that's great. And if you tell me if you ever want to explore that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I'm out in Los Angeles a couple times a month. And that's where a lot of, like I said, where our manufacturers are. And so there's potential, there could be some linkage there, or maybe even it's something online where we do some work that way. But yeah, I'd be happy to look into that. As this COVID thing settles and we're able to start doing some branching again, but even maybe before that I could do some research on that. So actually really appreciate that resource.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll follow up with you again on that. So I do need to go because I have to go play boss mom and be homeschooling for a few minutes before I put on another hat to bring that. I'm sure you guys are all in the same boat right now, but thank you again for your time, and I'm really appreciative.
Yes, thank you,
Courtney. Thank you, Mandy, for putting this together as well.
Yeah, no, that was great. I learned.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Absolutely.
And Chelsea, I'll follow up with you later. I'll chat with you later this afternoon.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Have a beautiful, blessed afternoon. Stay well, okay?
Thank you so much.
You.
So
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Courtney.